Feb, Tzu Chings from across the globe organize environmental events to show their love for the planet. We go to Malaysia's Kuala Lumpur to see how volunteer Chen Xiumei inspires members of the public to join Tzu Chi. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Helen Now. Thank you for joining us. To show their love for our Mother Earth, on May 18th, Tzu Chings from across the globe held various environmental events. In our next report, we'll travel from Asia to Oceania to see what Tzu Chings have been doing to safeguard our planet. After saying an environmental slogan, Malaysia Tzu Chings are ready to begin their day, bringing together more than 500 students from various colleges to practice recycling at the local Tzu Chi recycling station.
The items found in the recycling station are unwanted, but we can give many a second lease on life.
Besides sorting recyclables at the recycling station, the students also seized the chance to spread their environmental message around the community. Although rejected by many, the students are determined to carry on.
Before, I would use styrofoam. Now I will always bring reusable bags and containers. Saving the planet has been my top priority.
Also doing their part to safeguard our Mother Earth are Japan Tzu Chings in Tokyo. Today they're in Shinjuku, a major commercial and administrative center, to pick up litter along the streets. Meanwhile, at the Tzu Chi Luodong Education and Recycling Center in Taiwan, Tzu Chings are learning how to sort plastic bags from a senior recycling volunteer.
Normally, we would throw plastic bags into the garbage can without sorting them. After today's event, I have learned the correct way to categorize plastic bags and how to dispose of them in the correct manner.
To show their love for the planet, Australia Tzu Chings in Perth organized a garage sale for charity. Through the event, Tzu Chings hope to encourage members of the public to cherish resources and give items a new lease on life. Meanwhile, in New Zealand, Tzu Chings gather at the local Tzu Chi chapter to lay down interlocking bricks for a new pathway and wash the water tower for a Tzu Chi recycling station, which is still under construction. It has been nearly 5 years since Typhoon Morakot ravaged Taiwan. While most of the reconstruction has been completed, one remains, the Laiji permanent house for the indigenous Tzu people. What makes the project unique is that for the first time, people are being allowed to live in protected forests. Here's why.
The land that we were born on has changed. In the beginning, we grew vegetables to make a living, but about 3 to 4 years ago, the villagers reached a consensus and decided to plant coffee instead, because that way, less trees would need to be cut down.
Laiji is derived from the indigenous Tzu tongue of Laiji, which means surrounded by mountains. Coffee is the cash crop of the village and signifies the respect that people have for their land.
First, we don't use pesticide, which is good for the environment. As we help protect the land nurtures us as well.
Such way of life was once the center of the Tzu people, but was somehow forgotten. It took an unprecedented disaster to remind the Tzu to embrace their heritage once more.
During the period after Typhoon Morakot struck, for about 6 months, we were trapped and couldn't go outside. The safety of our settlement was at risk.
Though the disaster has long passed, memory of close calls with mudslides is still fresh.
As this area was already filled to the brim, everything just washed down this way and pressed up against here, which was all rocks. If the mudslides had continued down this way, our settlement would have been wiped out. Originally, our settlement was about 10 to 20 meters away from the riverbed, so of course people living here would be afraid. Who wouldn't?
The homes the Tzu had built on fluvial terraces for decades were right in the path of the mudslides. The disaster reminded them to respect Mother Nature, so they decided to move out of nature's way.
请跟我们撤离至收容所，麻烦配合。
To give nature the room it needs, the disaster victims decided to leave the land by the river. Now, nearly 5 years after the disaster, more than half of the Laiji residents will soon make their home in their ancestral ground. For the first time in Taiwan, people are allowed to live in a protected forest.
Many of our Zhou ruins can be found here. The project is to ensure the survival of our culture and people. After carefully considering the effects of climate change and after numerous calculations, we found this site to be the safest.
Today, most of post-Morka reconstruction has been finished, and the Special 8A Flood Rebuilding Act will end in August. Laiji is the last settlement to be rebuilt, as residents insisted on returning to their sacred land. Seeing their homes being built once again, residents are overwhelmed with emotion.
This is where our final hope lies, right? Because this is really quite far from the riverbed.
In the future, 42 families will be living here. They will become one with the mountain and the forests as they continue their way of life on their ancestral land.
Following the devastating Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, many students are left without a safe place to continue their education. To help, Taiwan Tzu Chi volunteers mobilized to build prefabricated classrooms. On May 19th, volunteers gathered at the Tzu Chi Sunshine Grounds in New Taipei City and loaded building materials for 275 classrooms into the container. At the Tzu Chi Sunshine Grounds in New Taipei City, Tzu Chi volunteers are loading building materials for 275 prefabricated classrooms into the container that will be shipped to the Philippines.
We just need to put all the parts into the container. We have finished putting all the materials together.
We don't have enough time. We will probably work overtime to make sure all the building parts are loaded onto the container on time.
Hitting the side of the window frame with a hammer, Tzu Chi volunteers are making sure the windows don't leak. Color stickers are also wrapped around the frame to make sure no scratch mark will be left on them.
When I saw what happened in the Philippines, I felt really sad. I decided to contribute my time to this meaningful cause.
Despite loading materials into the container is not an easy task, no one complains, as they know these prefab classrooms can give children in the Philippines a chance to continue their education. In northern Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers organized 3 separate tea gatherings to celebrate Mother's Day. But first, we go to Kaohsiung's Mingzhen Elementary School, where students pay their respects and love to parents.
Listening attentively to the sign language performance of the kneeling lamb are students of Mingzhen Elementary School in Kaohsiung. Today, Tzu Chi volunteers are providing these youngsters with an opportunity to show their gratitude towards their parents. Upon reading their children's cards, many parents' eyes begin to fill with tears.
Thank you.
I will love you forever.
Tzu Chi volunteers also encourage one student whose mother could not attend today's gathering to give her a call.
Our students are very innocent, yet their mature behavior has left their parents at ease. This is thanks to the Tzu Chi volunteers' continued assistance.
At the end of the day, students come to realize the depth of their parents' love, while parents experience firsthand their children's love in return.
My mother passed away on March 10th. Looking back, I realized how much she had done for me.
Thinking of her mother, Wu Zhenxueling can't stop tearing up. At this tea gathering, participants are seizing the opportunity to express their filial piety.
为妈妈献上一杯孝亲感恩茶，请奉茶，来端给妈妈。
I wish our mothers good health, peace, and happiness.
Meanwhile, in Yonghe District, New Taipei City, youngsters go to a local recycling station to learn not only about recycling, but also the meaning of filial duties.
Tzu Chi aunties and uncles at the recycling station have been taking care of our children. Therefore, we hope they can show their gratefulness to the volunteers by serving them tea. They are all happy to attend such a meaningful event.
In Xinyi District, Taipei City, volunteers put on a short skit to display the challenges of being a mother.
We need to dedicate our lives and wisdom to reciprocating our mother's love.
Although I do sometimes have arguments with my mom or disobey her, I still love her from the bottom of my heart.
Next, meet volunteer Chen Xiumei from Kuala Lumpur, who has recruited more than 200 new members in response to the 1 million bodhisattvas campaign in Malaysia.
For the very first time, a Buddha Day ceremony was held at the Kuala Lumpur Jingsi Hall, which saw an attendance of over 10,000 participants. Among them were many of volunteer Chen Xiumei's new recruits.
She always invites us to Tzu Chi events. After we went our interest in Tzu Chi grew, we continued to attend and surround ourselves with Tzu Chi volunteers, and eventually we became donating members.
Chen is a school bus driver with a friendly and easygoing disposition. However, her struggle to express herself has meant she has often shied away from introducing Tzu Chi to others.
I asked my friends if they wanted to become donating members, but when they asked me, "What will you do with the money?" I suddenly became tongue-tied and didn't know what to say.
Despite these setbacks, Chen remained a dedicated volunteer. And with more volunteer experience, her power to inspire and convince others also grew stronger.
I visited various charity institutions and nursing homes with the other volunteers. Then I would share with others what I had seen and felt. I would tell them about the lonely seniors at the home. My neighbors upstairs, downstairs, and next door to me are all my members now.
With growing self-confidence, Chen managed to recruit more than 200 members. Ling Jiazhen, although a Christian, makes a monthly contribution of 1 ringgit to Tzu Chi and has inspired 7 other families to also contribute their love.
Our master often talks about hearts. If one has a compassionate heart, even if he or she donates 50 cents, they will tell their parents about it and they will automatically want to donate too.
She'll ask those she comes across if they want to do good deeds. When we are drinking coffee, she'll ask all of our friends too. The students that she picks up are also her members now.
Regardless of age, religion, or ethnicity, Chen inspires all those she meets to join her and Tzu Chi in creating a society filled with goodness and compassion.
Also in Malaysia, to mark Vesak Festival, also known as the Buddha's birthday, Buddhists across the regions organize various activities. Next, we go to Mura, Bantian, and Penang and join local Tzu Chi volunteers in their separate celebrations.
In Muar, visitors visit a replica of Master Cheng Yan's early retreat. In Pontian, children show their thanks to their parents. And in Penang, the memory of fine time saves lives still lingers. Buddhists across Malaysia organize various events to celebrate Vesak Day. In Muar, over 2,000 participants attended the Buddha Day ceremony. One of the most popular areas was a replica of Master Cheng Yan's early retreat.
As long as we hold to the faith, no matter how small the space, we will be able to carry out our own cultivation.
At the Tzu Chi liaison office, participants put their hands together to pray to the Buddha. They also seized the chance to offer thanks to family members.
捧茶给妈妈喝的感受是怎样？
开心啊！
有什么话要跟妈妈讲？
妈咪我爱你。
哦。
One grandma's children and grandchildren kneel before her to serve tea in a scene of touching piety.
捧茶好你啉吼，阿嬷是有什么感受啊？欢喜哈，看到孙囝啊。
In Penang, students seized the opportunity to celebrate the Buddha's birthday and Mother's Day together with caregivers. They said it was an extraordinary experience.
Although I cannot celebrate Mother's Day at home, I'm still grateful, because after all, my mother and I came to join the Buddha Day celebration together.
In the beginning, my students were a little scared. However, after the service, they were full of joy because it was their first time to take part in such a meaningful event.
Thanks to the Tzu Chi volunteers, the message of filial piety and goodness will continue to find more adherents in society.
In Taoyuan, Taiwan, Tzu Chi volunteers held Buddha Day ceremonies at a nursing home and a homeless center to give people there the chance to honor the Buddha.
Having waited a month, Tzu Chi volunteers and team members are finally back to conduct a free clinic. Even though the senior has restricted mobility, he still insists on coming to greet his old friends.
He told us that his condition has improved, and I was quite happy to hear that. Happy because they're looking out for their own health, and we hope that they will continue to look after themselves.
Today, the number of people gathered at the homeless center is more than the usual. That is because, apart from the periodic medical checkups, Tzu Chi volunteers are also holding a small Buddha Day ceremony to allow the homeless to honor the Buddha and settle their hearts.
Most of our care recipients have never attended the Buddha Day ceremony before, so it's a good opportunity for them to understand the meaning behind the ceremony. We want to offer them a source of spiritual sustenance.
Meanwhile, at a community center in Luzhu, volunteers are teaching residents how to make carnations from discarded plastic bags.
Plastic bags are widely used in our day-to-day life, but many people don't know how to maximize this resource and how it can be reused, so it's always discarded as trash. Since Mother's Day, we are making carnations for mothers using plastic bags.
The Buddha Day ceremony commences as volunteers of the home make offerings to the Enlightened One. Participants bow reverently at the Buddha's feet. Among them is Hong Rui-ren, who is here to commemorate the Buddha on behalf of his mother.
My mother isn't feeling well today, so she missed out on this opportunity to take part. But I'm sure there will be many opportunities in the future for my mother to visit the abode.
With a sense of gratitude, respect and love, volunteers offer their sincerest blessings on this most auspicious of occasions.
Tzu Chi volunteers in Zimbabwe held 2 Buddha Day ceremonies this year. At the second event, over 1,000 local volunteers chanted the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings in Chinese, while students expressed their respect and love towards their mothers by washing their feet.
Local volunteers chant the Sutra of Innumerable Meanings, that is the essence of Tzu Chi. Hearts of sincerity brings out the orderliness and beauty of the procession. Volunteers guide participants in performing the Buddha Day ritual. On one of the most auspicious of occasions for Tzu Chi, residents honor it by coming dressed in their suits and ties. Volunteers stand alongside the children and guide them in honoring the Buddha. May is a month for children to show gratitude to their parents. Neatly dressed, kindergarten students kneel before their mothers. Volunteers bow humbly as they hand students the towels. Children wash their mother's feet while cultivating a giving heart.
And we pray for everybody where we got a better future.
Thousands of participants kneel as they pray for the world and all sentient beings.
In Canada's Vancouver, to celebrate the birth of the Buddha, Tzu Chi volunteers held Buddha Day ceremonies at the Admiral Seymour Elementary School and inside the Senior Center at the Mount St. Joseph Hospital.
Listening to familiar Chinese songs, these seniors who have long lived in Canada feel transported back to their younger days. Today, Tzu Chi volunteers are visiting Mount St. Joseph Hospital Senior Center to hold a Buddha Day ceremony. Accommodating the seniors, volunteers move the mobile altar so each resident can pay their respects to the Buddha. Receiving a small gift from their first Buddha Day celebration, the seniors are all smiles.
The seniors here enjoy each visit by the Tzu Chi volunteers. My mother's roommate says she looks forward to the performances by the Chinese ladies.
Tzu Chi's caring footsteps also reaches Admiral Seymour Elementary School in Vancouver. In the past 3 years, Tzu Chi volunteers and the school have built up a solid relationship. And this month's Buddha Day celebration was an opportunity for the young students to learn about the rituals of this important day in Buddhism.
Because I wanted to discover the Buddhist stuff, like how you pray and stuff.
You pray for yourself or bad wishes to you or to your family or to the whole world?
To the whole world.
We're very grateful to you and the Tzu Chi Foundation for all you've done for our school. You've given us so many beautiful experiences like today's ceremony, which was so lovely and calm and giving, and I got a lot out of it. I loved it.
Besides celebrating the Buddha's birthday, Tzu Chi volunteers are here with another mission, which is delivering 41 books to encourage the students' love of reading.
The Tzu Chi Foundation donated 6 computers to our school. We use them every day for research. They're so helpful, and without them, we would not be able to have a research station in the library. So thank you, Tzu Chi.
Although Seymour Elementary is a small school, the care from Tzu Chi volunteers and their own teachers make the learning environment one filled with love.
We join Singapore's Tzu Chings at the end of the show. To follow in their counterparts' footsteps, these collegiate youth volunteers also held environmental events at their local Tzu Chi recycling points. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.